Hello, my name is Sadi and this is Cine Stuff. In today's video, what we're going to talk about is this. That was this lens. This lens is the Laowa 15mm f4 wide macro lens. This is basically the first lens I've ever seen in this price range that has this weird perspective. And by really weird perspective, what I mean is basically being able to shoot a really close-up macro shot of something while still seeing what's around that subject, what is in the space and the environment around that subject. This is just awesome for your storytelling purposes. And to add to that, distortion is pretty much non-existent on the edges, which is something very rare to find in lower budget wide lenses. And the craziness doesn't only end there, it's also a tilt shift lens. Now, I'm gonna be honest here, I don't use the tilt shift function that much in it, and I've heard a lot of people saying that it's not actually that great on this one. But point is, it is a tilt shift capable lens. Now, tilt shift is mainly used by photographers and they mostly use it for like landscape photography. So basically, the most important thing that this lens offers is the ability to switch cinematographic perspectives. You'll be able to add another angle or add another shot type to your film, so that you keep your audience as immersed and interested as possible. Now, it's not like, oh my god, it's the perfect lens that I just need. It's got a lot of its own downsides as well. The main things that you got to keep in mind for this lens is that it's a prime lens. Now, usually on prime lenses, the focus ring is from the front and the aperture ring is in the back. This lens has it the other way around. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But it's just like that. So you're gonna need some time to just get used to like pulling focus from the back rather than the front. And whenever you want to change the aperture, you gotta reach to the front ring, which is probably gonna confuse you for a bit. And then later on, as you film more and more with that lens, it'll become easier and you'll just get acquainted to it. Now, to add to that, the focus area, because it's a macro lens, is so small, specifically if you're on an open aperture. So this lens reaches a maximum of f4. You can't open more than that. f4 is not like super fast, but the thing is, on a macro lens, the focus area is so small that you can lose it in a second. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing like focus tracking or pulling focus or something like that. Alright, so prime lens, 15mm and macro. How does that work? In prime lenses, we know that whenever you want to get a closer shot, you gotta actually get closer to the subject. Now, this same concept applies to this lens. So whenever you want to take a macro shot, you're going to have to be so close to that subject, like really uncomfortably close, like ridiculously close. Some people might not even agree on letting you this close to them. Sometimes you might even touch that object and you wouldn't even know about it. That might scratch the lens or get dirt on it or blur it out or whatever. But make sure that the closer you get, keep an eye on that lens. Now, to continue talking about people and subjects, it makes people look really weird. Because you know, all wide lenses kind of like distort people's faces, and they use them mainly in like comedy to just like accentuate the features. You get like a big nose or a big forehead and like wobbly eyes. Face gets like weirdly elongated. You do not want to use this lens to film like beautiful shots or even like beautiful portraits of people. It's a 15mm macro lens. Just use it as it should be used. Unless you want to do a weird, comedic kind of funky look. For me personally, I think that every DP and cinematographer should have as much flexibility as possible when it comes to focal length and how they want to portray their shots. So it definitely makes sense to me to have something like this lens in my arsenal. That's all for today. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell button. And until next time, Cine Stuff out.